I'll tell you what, man, some of these chalky public plays just keep paying off. You go into it, go, man, I don't want to be on this side, but I'm going to do it anyway because it feels right. And the past couple of weeks, they've been paying off pretty hefty for us. I got one play I absolutely love. We'll get to that right after the Thursday night football game. But this is picks for every game. Week 10, every single game, every single week, we got you covered. I'm Dave Loughy with OddsShopper. Without further ado, let's make it happen. Keep this train rolling. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and leave a comment down below. As always, what are your favorite picks, favorite spots? What do you think of these for week 10? And follow me on Twitter. I'll always drop plays that I've got down there. Already dropped some today, recording this on Wednesday. So any news that pops up, understand if you're watching later in the week, that's why I didn't talk about it. I'm on Twitter at Loughy_D, Loughy_D. Let's make it happen. You know, the one thing I love doing about this video every week is we get to talk about every game. And the one thing I hate about this video every week is that we have to talk about every game. It's a give and take situation. Sometimes it absolutely sucks. And in this case, there are some games that aren't great. Thursday night's football, to be exact. Chicago Bears hosting the Carolina Panthers. And what do you really want to do with this game, right? It's 3.5 point spread. Panthers dogs on the road. And Justin Fields, doubtful like they did last week, but they already announced Tyson Bagent as the starter. So we know that he's going to be out there. Now, I'm going to keep this simple. Now, I do a video tomorrow, every Monday and Thursday morning with my primetime picks, with the props. We'll get a lot more granular. We'll dig a lot more into that. This is the way I'm going to play it right now. If I can get the Panthers outside of 3 points, they're 3.5 right now, I'll do that. But the Justin Fields news just broke, and he had been getting limited practices. I'm going to wait on this. If this happens to move through 2.5, I'll hit the Bears. Even at 3, I'd prefer the Bears here. You got Sweat now on defense. This defense hasn't actually been that bad. It's the offense. It's Justin Fields struggles, then bringing in a Division II quarterback. And on the Carolina side, they do have a lot of injuries. Burns is out, just one example of many guys who are either questionable or already sidelined for week 10. If you're getting them outside of a field goal, fine. It's hard to anticipate 2 pick sixes coming this week, right? From Bryce Young again, even though we were on the Colts side, we'll take that all day long last week. But outside of 3, sure. If you're going to the Bears, I'm waiting for this to go 3. FanDuel has it at a 3 right now. 2.5 would be a smash spot. But this is, for me, simply playing the number. Neither team is good. Either team has both teams have massive weaknesses, and I'm not particularly fond of either side. Now, there is a prop that stands out to me pretty significantly. First thing I always do when I'm looking for props, I'm going over to OddsShopper and I'm just pulling up what the plus EV spots are. Essentially, we're just trying to pick off separate books in the market that aren't aligned with the sharp books and get positive EV, get positive expected value, and place bets that way over time. Tends to be pretty successful. In this spot, though, I love when the stars align, right? Because we had Chuba Hubbard as the highest rated bet in our model. Points bet specifically over 10.5 receiving yards, minus 140. I went and looked at the other books here on this drop down, and I was like, all right, well, 13.5. That's not going to be as good in the model. But then I went and I looked. The Chicago Bears are allowing, you ready for this? They've allowed 578 receiving yards to opposing running backs this year. No team has allowed more than 426. So they've been decimated in receiving yards. Opposing running backs have crushed them. That's a spot I'm willing to take. Even at the 13.5 on FanDuel, I will take over 13.5. Now, if you're on points bet, the 10.5 is obviously a smash. You pay some juice there, but we'll take it. Over 13.5 receiving yards on Chuba Hubbard would be my preferred spot from this game. All right, next up, this is probably my favorite play of the week, and some of you are going to look at me sideways for this one. Bengals are 6.5 point favorites against the Texans, 48 point total. You know, the Texans and CJ Stroud just coming off an amazing win, historic, groundbreaking, record-breaking, I should say, performance from Stroud. Close to 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, come from behind, win late in the game at home. Just amazing all around. 39-point performance. But I'm going with the Bengals. I'm getting him inside of a touchdown. Might seem weird to some people, but you know what? CJ Stroud coming off such an amazing, emotional win. The talk of the town is CJ Stroud, and it should be. But on the other side of this, Joe Burrow is playing like a legitimate MVP candidate right now. No joke. He is playing better, as good, if not better, than any quarterback. Forget about the first few weeks of the season. This guy's been dominant. You remember last year, they started off the season sketchy. Horrible week 1 against the Steelers. Then they beat the Jets, but it was Joe Flacco. Then they lost another, and you're like, man, I'm not sure if this team can get back to where they were the previous season. Then I think they covered the spread in like 12 of their final 13 games in the regular season. They're coming off really impressive wins, right? Signature wins from this Cincinnati team, with Joe Burrow looking mobile, throwing the deep ball again, taking out the Bills on primetime, the Niners, the Seahawks, and that was before Burrow was even right. So yes, while this should be a fun game, and you might argue, hey, the Houston Texans they should be getting less than that. They've played so well. I get all of that, but they're on the road. Stroud hasn't played as well on the road. Burrow's at home looking the best he has in a long time. This defense is looking improved. I'm laying the 6.5 on the Bengals. Matter of fact, I already did. Next up, we got Colts and the Patriots. Look, the Colts are -1.5. I don't really want to touch this game on the spread. They're -1.5, but it's possible that Bill Belichick can make Gardner Minshew not look great in a spot like this. Last week, we liked the Washington Commanders, not because we actually like the Commanders, but because the biggest weakness for the Commanders has been the ability for opponents to throw downfield. And we knew that there were no real weapons in the passing game for Mac Jones, and Mac Jones isn't good to do so. The one opportunity they had, Jalen Reagor let it go straight through his hands. This is a little bit different. You know, the Colts had 2 pick-sixes last week, coming off a win that they maybe shouldn't have. And now you go into Foxborough against the Patriots, who I think defensively can do enough to keep this game close, but at 1.5 on either side, I don't like it. I would go under 43.5 points. That's the spot that I like here. Because you know what? At this stage, I don't think the Patriots get blown out, but I also think they don't. I also don't expect them to have some amazing offensive performance. If either team wins this game, I expect it to be a low-scoring, grinded-out affair where it could flip to either side. Patriots win by a field goal, Colts win by a field goal, but you could really see this being a 20-17, type of game. And with that in mind, 43.5 points just seems a little bit too much to me in this spot. I'm playing for a low-scoring game, under 43.5 between the Colts and the Patriots. Browns and the Ravens. All right, so this one feels sketchy, but I've got to take the road dog in a divisional spot. I mean, this division's good right now. It's a good division. The Bengals, the Browns defense, the Steelers just finding ways to win games no matter what, just finding ways to win games. And then the Ravens look like the class not only of the AFC North, but of the AFC right now. They look fantastic. Just a shame that in DFS, Lamar Jackson isn't getting it done for us. It's the running backs. You should check out our DFS channel too. If you're not in the DFS, you're crazy. It's the best thing in the world. That's where all of this started. Before Odd Shopper, it was Awesome-O. Now it's Stochastic. Check out our DFS channel, Stochastic. You'll love it. But whatever. Point is, they're getting it done in a multitude of ways. But I still like the Browns here. Now, the big question is, what version of Deshaun Watson are we getting week over week? He did look better last week. But coming into that game, they said he got the best practice. He's looked better in practice with more zip on the ball than we've seen all season from him. 6 points is a lot in a game like this. It sounds a little bit weird just because the Ravens have been steamrolling teams, but they've also been steamrolling teams in the NFC. And that's another thing to consider. Lamar Jackson's 18-1 right now, straight up for his career against NFC opponents. This is a team that's seen quite a bit of him. They've seen him a lot. And I think the 6 points is worth taking here. Maybe you wait. Maybe you wait a little bit, and then later in the week we continue to see this move towards the Ravens because people just look at them as this unbeatable opponent right now, and the Browns offense hasn't really gained a ton of momentum. But the defense is good enough. Myles Garrett is good enough to where I say I'll take the 6 points on the road in a divisional spot. If nothing else, should be a really fun game. I'm going to take the 6 with the Browns. 49ers and the Jags. Brock Purdy, through his first 10 starts, had thrown 2 interceptions, and they were 10-0. That was regular season. Through his first 13 starts, if you're including Seattle, Dallas, and Philly in the postseason, he was 12-1 with 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions still. It's tough because that game against Philly, he got hurt. He only attempted 4 passes. But even if you take that out, 12 starts, 2 interceptions, 12-0. And the last 3 games, 5 interceptions. They're 0-3. Trent Williams isn't on the practice field yet. I would wait to bet this one, guys, until later in the week. But I'll lay it out for you. I'll give you the information. I would wait to bet this one to see if Trent Williams gets back on the field. We expect Deebo Samuel to be out there. He's a full practice participant. But wait for Trent Williams because Brock Purdy without him has really struggled. Also, Brock Purdy with those 5 picks over his last 3 games, 3 of them have been under pressure, but 2 of them have been with the pocket clean. So he's still making some pretty bad reads at times. Who knows if this is just regression, what we're getting out of Brock Purdy. What I do know is that right now, with the way the Jags are playing, at home for whatever that's worth, I would take the 3 points with the Jags. I would take the 3 points with the Jags. Yeah, you could say 49ers coming off a bye, 3-game road skid. They've got to figure it out soon. I get that. I do. But if Trent Williams isn't back on the field, we see how much of a difference that makes. Purdy has not looked like the guy that we saw through those first 10 regular season starts. Give me the Jags right now, but we'll stay tuned for more information. I haven't bet this one yet, but it's one that I'm clearly eyeing for later in the week. Saints and the Vikings. So the Saints are 2.5-point favorites, 41.5-point total here. I love Josh Dobbs, okay? I'm not saying he's a great player. He's not. But I love the grit in this fella. I really do. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but how do you not love this guy? From Arizona, then, with less than a week coming over to Minnesota, he gets thrust into action after Jaron Hall takes that hard shot, hits his head, and he leads a come-from-behind win. I mean, it's as much of an indictment on Arthur Smith as it is praise towards somebody like Josh Dobbs, but you got to love the guy. He said, I'm going to go learn the names of my teammates now. But I'm not going to put the cart ahead of the horse here, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I still like the Saints in this game. They're a gross team, a totally gross team, but they find ways to win. They do. They're a gross team. I really don't like, you look at Dennis Allen, the way this team is coached. It's not fun. It's not good, but they find ways to win. Getting under a field goal, -2.5 on the road. It's still against Josh Dobbs. It's still a quality Saints team on defense. I expect, this Minnesota offense to come back down to earth after an insanely emotional win last week. I saw inside the locker room. It was awesome. I'm not a Vikings fan, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. It was cool. But cool doesn't win the next week. Give me Saints -2.5. Packers are 3-point dogs against the Steelers. It's always the whole Mike Tomlin as a dog, Mike Tomlin as a home dog type of thing. He's a favorite here. My problem, and I've been saying this to you guys, I think all season long, right? All season long, which is why we've been fading the Packers for the most part. Jordan Love's just not very good. And the one time I was like, hey, I think the Packers might be able to get this win at home, they got smoked. They got throttled. The Steelers are just one of these odd teams that finds ways to win football games, even if they're not particularly good. Kenny Pickett's not good, but look at the quarterbacks throughout the rest of the league. I mean, what is Kenny Pickett? Like middle of the road when you stack him up against the Tommy DeVitos and obviously Jordan Love's a step above that. But Jordan Love might not be on this team next year. He has not performed well. He has really struggled. Look at all of the numbers, adjusted completion percentage, under pressure, all of these things. He's at the bottom of the league. The bottom of the league. Now, getting Aaron Jones back is helpful. This guy saw 20 carries and 6 targets last week. Inefficient, but it's still helpful because A.J. Dillon's just not good. But I'll take the Steelers. If you can get 2.5, I'd love it. Now, this is not one of my favorite games. We already talked about the Bengals. That's a spot that looks real good. Jags is a spot that I'm looking to hit later in the week if we get some good movement on that, or even if it stays the same and Trent Williams is out, and a couple others that we're going to get to later in this video. Steelers is a lean, nothing more, but I can't bet the Packers right now. I can't bet them. If it's 3.5, maybe I'd consider it, but I'm not betting the Packers with Jordan Love leading the charge under center. Titans are 1.5-point dogs against the Bucks. What do we do here? Just Vrabel as a dog? Will Levis didn't look terrible last week. He didn't look great. What do we really do here? You guys tell me. You got a spot to hit me up in the comments. Let me know. And the Bucks just coughed up 39 points to CJ Stroud and Tank Dell and Nico Collins and Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz. I'm not saying those guys are scrubs, but 39 points. The defenses look really bad lately. This is worse than I would have ever anticipated coming into the season. I think you guys would mostly agree. Yeah, the Titans can be beat through the air. I get all of that. But at the same time, you'd be surprised. The Titans have not exactly coughed up as much production as you'd think. You look at passing touchdowns, Titans have about 8 passing touchdowns on the season. That's the third fewest in the league, tied with the Cleveland Browns, Jets, Packers. They haven't coughed up a lot of production through the air when it comes to actually putting points on the board. So are the Bucs going to be able to do it with Evans and Godwin? It's possible, but it's a lean spot for me. I'd rather just take Mike Vrabel as a dog. He's a good coach. He's been better than covering the spread. As his counterpart in this game, Todd Bowles, give me Mike Vrabel. That's a lean. All right, here's another good one. Here's a fun game. You've got the Lions and the Chargers 48-point spread, or 48, that would be crazy. 48.5-point total, 2.5-point spread. Now, if you're betting this game and you live in Colorado, Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey, Iowa, or Kentucky, if not, feel free to skip forward the next 30 seconds. If so, you're going to want to hear me out. In those 6 states right now, Bet365, and I don't know, when these disappear, they just tell us the day of, and then it's gone, is giving you $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. It's that simple. Put the link in the description. The link is in the pinned comment as well. You sign up, you click the link, takes you 2 minutes. Getting $150 in bonus bets for doing 2 minutes worth of work. You think about anywhere else in the world you do this. Any other opportunity comes across your table like this, you go, wait, you're giving me 150 and I give you 5? Is that what you're saying? That's what you're saying? Okay. Before you change your mind, let's make the exchange. Same thing here. Colorado, Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey, Iowa, and Kentucky. Bet 5. Put it on a big parlay. Who cares? Because if you lose, the 150 is still coming your way. If you win, you got that winnings and it's 150 coming your way. And because they're bonus bets and not just like some crazy match bonus with the drip and then you have to roll over, play through it 100 times, if you win any of these bets, that money is immediately withdrawable. So not only are you getting multiple books now to find the best odds, which is huge. That's why we talk about odds shopping. That's why I show you these oddshopper.com spots where you're hitting them on specific books, but you're also getting money that you didn't have before, 150 in bonus bets when you deposit 10 and only bet 5. If you're in those states, jump on this before it's gone. Now let's talk about the Lions and the Chargers. So the Lions are 2.5-point favorites. Normally I'd look at this, I'd go, hey, Chargers, nice spot. But the first thing I thought of when I saw this game was, well, it's not really home field advantage for the Chargers, is it now? And the Lions are one of the better teams in the league right now. When's the last time Lions fans have had something to truly root for? They're going to travel for this game. They're going to travel well. Consider this a neutral field, right? That's how I look at it. I consider this a pretty neutral field. And you also have a Lions team coming off a bye. Maybe they're a little bit rusty early in this game, but this line has moved, but it's still inside of a field goal. The Chargers won, and we were on the Jets. We were on the Jets, guys. We were on the Jets. At plus 3.5, and boy, did they have every opportunity to cover that. Every opportunity in the world, but that offense fucking sucks. Jeez. Sorry, get fired up here. Justin Herbert and them did basically nothing throughout the entirety of that game. And the Jets just continuously handed it to him and handed it to him. I should have seen it coming. I should have seen it coming and stayed away. But the Chargers offense didn't look very good. And it's not like this Lions defense is some slouch. I'll take the Lions right now at minus 2.5 inside a field goal. If this were like legitimate home field advantage, I'd feel differently. But it's not. It's not for the Chargers. And with that in mind, I think these Lions fans are going to travel really well for this game. If the Chargers come and win this game, I might have to change my approach a little bit because this is a team I just prefer to bet against when it comes to the spread. The Lions are a good football team coming off a bye, and I think it's pretty much neutral. Might be more Lions fans there than Chargers if we're being completely honest. Falcons and Cardinals. 42-point total. Falcons -1. I don't think they'd bring Kyler Murray back, the Cardinals, unless he was 110%. Because with no incentive to win, right, and getting rid of Dobbs and playing Clayton Tune last week, with no incentive whatsoever to win, why would you bring him back unless he's 100%? There's zero reason, zero incentive. They waited till week 10 anyway, so I think he's going to be back. I'd probably lean over 42 in this game, but I don't like it at all because even if Kyler Murray's healthy, he could be super rusty after like a calendar year layoff. And then the Falcons, you can't trust the Falcons right now by any measure. By any measure, you can't trust a team that allows a guy that doesn't know the names of his teammates to come back and beat you. You can't allow it to happen. And Arthur Smith finds ways each week to shoot himself and his team in the foot. Stay away from this game unless you have a read. And if you do, let me know. Probably lean over, but this is a lean. There's nothing I want from this game. It's a great stay away spot when we have so many games on the week. Giants and Cowboys, 38.5 point total for 16 point spread. Let me tell you something. I'm probably betting the Cowboys in this game. Sounds wild, right? It sounds outrageous. But I'm probably betting the Cowboys. Do you know what the implied total? You know what the team total for the for the Giants is? It's 11. It's 11 points. Tommy DeVito is playing. So it's funny. On Tuesday, Ben Rassa, who you know from this channel, phenomenal sports betting mind. I learned a lot of what I know from him. We do a first look show on our daily fantasy channel, first look for every week of the NFL season, or every week for NFL. We take a first look at the slate, break down the salaries, the games, the matchups, the positions. And he was saying, if you're the Giants, why at this point would you not just do insane shit every single play, right? Never punt, onside kick every time, go for every fourth down, have insane formations, wild plays. What's the difference if you lose 70-3 or if you lose 30-10? There is no difference. This team's going nowhere with Daniel Jones out for the year with the ACL. Just do insane stuff. Try new things. But they won't. Teams never do that, which means that they will likely run Saquon Barkley into the line, and Darren Waller's out. They will likely try and throw 2-yard slants to Wan'Dale Robinson, and they will not score points. So yes, if I'm betting this game, I'm laying an astronomical 16 on the Cowboys. Wouldn't be surprised even to see this move through 17. I simply don't see. Look, it's a divisional game, but does that even matter? The Cowboys are coming off a huge loss where they had every opportunity to win. They have every incentive, every reason. They should crush the Giants in this spot. Like, think about that. Giants have nothing. They have Tommy DeVito and Matt Barkley as the backup. The Cowboys just lost to the Eagles after being right on the doorstep to win that game, and they lost. Massive divisional rivalry. Now they come home. They're going to feast. Minus 16 is a lot of points. This could be 40-0 though. Cowboys minus 16. Seahawks at home against the Commanders. I do like this game. The line's a little bit weird. You would think it would be more on the Seahawks. Commanders coming off a win, but here's my thing. I'll keep this very short and simple. When you have the weapons to pick apart the Commanders downfield, you should be able to beat them. Now, Commanders have found creative ways to score points, which is why I don't hate the over on 45.5. But they just lost Chase Young. Sweat is gone as well. The pass rush isn't going to be significant. Seahawks coming off an ugly loss back home where you have legitimate home field advantage. DK Metcalf was a ghost last game outside a 150-yard reception. Tyler Lockett, they have JSN. They've got the weapons in the passing game. They've got the weapons on the ground. I think they come back, put their foot on the gas, and they put up big yards through the air. We don't have props here yet. I'll tweet them for sure the moment we get them if there's something I like. But my guess, I will be looking at some overs on receiving yards and passing yards for this Seattle team. As of now, though, -6. I don't know how the Commanders on the road slowed down the passing game, and I don't know how they're going to get home to Geno Smith after losing Sweat and Young. So, Jets, -1 against the Raiders. All right, give me under 36.5 points here, and give me the Jets -1. Here's why. Did you see that Jets defense against the Chargers? I know I've said it a lot this season. I sound like a broken record, but this Jets defense is ridiculous. And now it's what? Jets against Aiden O'Connell? I get it. The new head coach, everyone loves him. They love the culture. He brought everyone up from the practice squad to watch the game from the sidelines. Yeah, we like this guy. We got the win. We get the win against the Giants and Tommy DeVito. If we're being completely honest here, that's what happened, right? That's what happened. Zach Wilson stinks. I said it before. I'll say it a million times. I never should have bet him at plus 3.5. But it's still the defense that makes the difference here, because the Raiders defense is not elite. This is a defense versus defense game, in my opinion, right? Where you have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, who was scarcely used last week. You also have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. It's just neither of the quarterbacks are particularly competent. So it all comes down to the defense. And with that in mind, give me the Jets -1, also under 36.5. I expect this to be a very low scoring affair. It's a low number, but we've been hitting on a lot of those unders this year at like sub 40, 30. We hit an under what? Under 35 2 weeks ago. And it cruised to the under between the Giants and the Jets. Jets play a lot of games to the under. Give me the under 36.5 and Jets -1. And we close it out with Broncos and Bills. Broncos 7.5-point dogs. This is a weird line. I would think it would be less, quite frankly. The Bills haven't played well. The Broncos are coming around. Look, I get plenty wrong. When you're doing this picks for every game, you're going to get a lot wrong. That's the way it is. Anyone that tells you they don't is lying to your face. We just hope to get a little bit more right than we get wrong every week, and we're going to have a good season. In the past few weeks, that's been working for us. In a spot like this, the Bills have, could they come and just rout the Broncos and be like, oh, that's the Bills team we remember seeing before? Sure. It's not like Allen had a bad game last time out, but the defense is missing multiple key players. They haven't held up. And the Broncos, what I've been saying all year, well, over the past, handful of weeks, this defense is not as bad as they looked earlier in the season. The communication issues were a real big deal. And I think they fixed some of that. We saw it with the Browns last year early in the season. Communication issues on defense made them look terrible. And then they fixed things and became one of the better defenses. We've now seen the Broncos really limiting teams defensively. So I would take the Broncos if I'm getting them outside of a touchdown, outside of 7, plus 7.5, sure. But honestly, my preferred spot is under 47. I think this is just too high of a total. Under 47. I think the Broncos defense holds up. And I know the Bills defense hasn't performed well and they've got injuries, but I still don't buy Russell Wilson to come in with a 30-point game here on the road. So under 47 would be the spot that I like more than anything in this game. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out as always. It's been a really fun season. Let's keep it rolling. Rack up the winners this week. I'll hit some more on Twitter. Like I said, LOUGHY_D. It's Loughy_D. And remember, Colorado, Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey, Iowa, and Kentucky. Bet 5 on Bet365 and get 150 in bonus bets. Links in the description and in the pinned comment. We'll see you back here for week 11. Peace.